Let us dive into the lore of Bella Swan's wedding dress. This was a custom designed Carolina Herrera, and what's interesting to me is that, number one, this dress seems to be polarizing. Like, it seems like people really think this is like the most beautiful dress ever, or people think it's like the ugliest dress they've ever seen. For me, I never felt that way about it. I think it mostly looks nice, but I do have a few questions, comments, and concerns. I feel like just talking about the film dress, most of us agree that where this really shines is the back. The back is really beautiful and intricate, and also the sleeves are really beautiful. The buttons and the little pickup when she's dancing with Jacob, super pretty. This is such a nice shot if you ignore the crime on her finger. As far as the whole ensemble, I actually liked her hair. I thought it looked pretty. I thought it looked great from the back. I really liked the headpiece. The best part by far was the Manolos. Those are such great shoes. Even the train I think was nice, and it looks nice from this angle. Where it gets a little murky is the front. Now, at first glance, you might say, like many people say, that the front is just plain, it's boring. Now, to me, the front is more important than the back. That's a personal thing, but I would rather the front be exciting. However, it's really not just boring. You wouldn't notice it at first, but up close and in the right light, the front of this dress is actually kind of weird. This is giving like court jester, and I've never really understood it. You don't always see it, but once you do, it's like, why? So I think she looks very pretty here. I like the hair, everything. I really don't love the front of the dress. Is it the ugliest dress ever? No. But what did it look like in the book? This is also a little bit of a conundrum because we have an illustration in the guide. We have descriptors from Bella, we have descriptors from Renee, and none of them really match up. First thing you should know is, I know a lot of people say like, oh, this dress fits Bella so much, and I can totally see that, but the dress was never really even like meant to suit Bella. It was all about Edward and based around the ring and the Edwardian period. Like, literally, Bella didn't even want to have this wedding, and Alice planned the whole thing, and she based the whole thing around Edward for reasons that are layered. This is the illustration in the guide, and this little description is from when Bella is looking at her reflection with Edward in the mirror, and she says, the narrow sheath of the shimmering white dress flared out subtly at the train, almost like an inverted calla lily, cut so skillfully that her body looked elegant and graceful. And I suppose that this illustration fits that. What's interesting is Bella keeps making references to Anne of Green Gables, and she guesses that the dress is from 1918, and Alice says more or less. Bella says it's beautiful, it's just right for him. Renee says that Bella looks like she just stepped out of an Austen novel, and she talks about how, you know, they base the theme around the ring. Now, interestingly, personal preferences aside, neither this illustration or the dress Bella wears in the film have anything to do with Anne of Green Gables, the Edwardian period, any adjacent periods, or Jane Austen. Like, this is Anne Shirley's wedding dress. Of course, I didn't expect it to look exactly like this, but nobody would get away with wearing anything like either of those dresses we saw in the Edwardian period or any period close to it. For example, this dress has Edwardian influence, right? I'm not saying it had to look like this, but this is a dress that I could see, oh, Anne of Green Gables. Or even this makes more sense with the references we got in the book, or even this, and I'm not saying it's ugly, I just don't see the connection between the references and the actual dresses we saw. On another note, a lot of people prefer this dress that Bella wears in her nightmare, and if I had to pick one, I would pick this dress too. I agree that this dress is not really Bella, but I think that's kind of the point. And also, I wish, because this was like a theatrical scene, that they had just done her hair up a little more theatrically, and maybe her makeup too. Also, I'd like to add that it's interesting that this scene exists, and this is the dream that Bella had the night before she was supposed to marry Edward, and people are still like, oh my gosh, they were goals, like she was totally meant to be with Edward, it was such a good thing. Like, that is really funny to me. And if it were up to me, Bella would have worn something else. I think something else would have fit her, and she would have gotten married on the beach to somebody else, and it would have been a whole different thing. But this dress is nice too. What do you think?